am playing test driver for the Bay12 Motors Company, the Bay12 Motor Company rather, a car company and an automation Let's Play, where I'm driving the exported cars from automation here around the automation test track in BeamNG.drive. So I'm going to kick this little stream off by a lap around the track to kind of, remember all the turn names, because I kind of wrote them down now and hopefully have them all in my head, and kind of talk a little bit about what the track tests. Then I'll jump into some of the most recent Bay12 cars, now that we're into the ugly, boxy days of the 1980s, and we'll see how they handle it. So we're starting with a car from my own save, the Model 82, or possibly 84, I don't remember exactly. It's a, kind of 80s hatch style thing. I seem to have kept the suspension cranked pretty high, which I guess is okay because it is the rally model, apparently, according to the name that I gave it. So we're off down the start-finish straight here, up toward the Evertson S's, which it's a left-right-left chicane into a big sweeper. The chicane's good for testing change direction. You can see this car kind of rolls a bit because of the high suspension. Now you can usually take, in most street cars, this section at about 60. Now as we straighten out from here, we'll hit a brief stretch into Brian's Bend, which is kind of a test of stability. Oops, see? I kind of lost the stability there in this car. So a test of stability, we can take that at any speed from about 60 to flat out, depending on how good the brakes are and how good the car corners. So down here into Ban Hammerhead, a tight, roughly 30-mile-an-hour hairpin. Another short straight here into Caswell's Carousel, which is a steeply banked corner, right-hander, 40 or 50 depending on the car again. And into the longest straight on the track, the back straight down toward the Slingshot. So the Slingshot is an approximately flat-out corner. We very high speed, usually top gear and near top speed. Whoop. Almost lost it. No runoff there, so you're pretty much sunk if you make any mistakes. Which brings us here to the Bavarian Bend, which is a tricky decreasing radius corner, so you've got to be slowing down and turning if you can, although I usually like to take a line that has me braking straight toward the 50-meter marker on the wall. So out of the Bavarian Bend, we come to another short straight here to the Kilrob Chicane, the slowest chicane on the course, which is usually about a 25 or 30-mile-an-hour corner. Well, lost the back a little bit there. Which brings us into directly into the Palms Sickle, which is about a 70 to 80-mile-an-hour sweeper, depending on the car. Now, at the end of the Sickle, what we have is Adam's Apex, and as you can see, it comes right up on us. So this really tests your car's ability to change directions in both axes, because you're going from accelerating through the corner to braking out accelerating through the corner to braking for the next one, and then turning left, turning right. The penultimate corner on the track is the Cossack corner, a blind uphill left-hander. The line you want to take through here kind of has you, again, going toward the wall. It's usually about a 40-mile-an-hour corner. I'm just not super familiar with this car. Which brings us to Lamb's Hope, the final corner, a roughly 90-degree right-hander that puts us back onto the start-finish straight. Alright, so let's back up to the start-finish line. Get the hot lapping thing started, and we'll back up a bit. That's been kind of our traditional run at this course. Starts with the nose of the car just about touching the outer edge of the hot lapping marker there. Where's my... I don't really want to add a checkpoint. I guess I'll just finish this lap and I cross it again. Alright, so let's take a look at vehicles. what do we have today from the Bay12 Motors Company? We're going to start with the Alpaca wagon, a station wagon with our, well, newly with our windmill engine, a small turbocharged number that is more fuel efficient than our preceding options in the engine field, especially the small engine field. So the Alpaca is the largest and heaviest of these cars, and the automation's time for it is, I believe, 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Let's see if I can beat that. Well, I can probably take these 2 laps in each car, one to get a feel for it and talk about its handling some, and one with the hammer down to try and get the lap done. So off for our scout lap here in the Alpaca. Another automatic transmission, so I don't have much to do with the shifter knob here. Not bad, not bad. It's, again, not a very fast car. A lot of our family cars kind of lean on the low power and high fuel economy kind of paradigm. I believe this is a front-wheel drive vehicle, so it should be easy to handle through the corners. No, not a lot of difficulty with spinning out. This is, like I said, a turbocharged engine, but the boost is capped at 4.6 psi for... I can brake later there. 4.6 psi for fuel economy. So that's the main purpose of this vehicle is to carry people around and get good gas mileage, be cheap to run. I'm a little fast there, but I was able to fix it with a lift. The turbo, because it's so small, responds very quickly. You can see that the boost gauge goes all the way up to the maximum 4.8 psi almost instantly when I get on the throttle. And I believe for reliability purposes, the engine has a pretty low red line of about 5,700 RPM. So far it's been perfectly composed. Not a lot to write home about. Which is a good thing in a family car. So we can take the slingshot really entirely flat out here, which comes to about 80 miles an hour. And I believe I'm just going to, again, as we're coming up this slight hill and losing a little bit more speed, I'm just going to lift slightly, goose the brakes, and then get into the end of the Bavarian bend. Just the line I wanted to take. Touch that inside curb and then the outside here. It really needs to shift. I think it's got a sport mode, so I'm going to stick with that. Ooh, pretty good brakes. Again, I can brake later than that here. At least I hope S2 means sport. Or maybe it means that I'm in sport mode in second gear. I don't know, we'll figure it out, I guess. To Adam's Apex, which is usually about a 40 or 45 mile an hour car. I'm pretty comfortable with the Alpaca here. It's hard to get it out of hard to make it not composed. Ooh boy. The computer did it in 3 minutes and 6 seconds, and with 0 spinning, I am probably a good 15 or 20 seconds behind. Yeah, 322. Alright, so let's back it up to the line here. Yeah, I'm going to hope that S is sport mode and go with that. So, I need to shave somewhere. Oh boy. 16 seconds off that lap to beat the computer's time. I'm not sure I've got that in me, so let's see how we manage. Little peppier there. With our soft friendly suspension, I can really cut that corner pretty aggressively, and the high curbs on the inside don't throw me off. No anti-lock brakes in this. Anti-lock brakes are expensive, and it's released in 1982 and engineered in 1977, so we don't quite have the technology to do it in a cost-effective manner yet. Really using the whole track there to try and keep as much speed as I can through that corner. So that was a couple of seconds slower than my... Well, I guess one of the first cars I drove for Bay12 motors was the Baron, our early model luxury sedan, and that did that first sector, which ends at the end of the carousel there in about 1 minute. It took us just now 1 minute and 4 or 5 seconds, so I'm already slightly slower than that. And the Baron, owing to its large V8, was much faster here after the carousel. So can I, like, shift down in sport mode somewhere? I don't know. Trying to play with the gear shift here to get myself into the right gear for these corners. I forgot to get my split time for the last section there, but we're still not in especially good shape, I wouldn't say. Coming out of the Bavarian bend is usually where I mark my Sector 2 time. That was about a 1:45 in the Baron. We were quite a bit behind that. 140... Yeah, I think we're going to, again, have a bit of a disappointing time on this lap. Again, in that 320-something range, I would suspect. It's very composed through Cossack Corner. That was a line I'm proud of. Just goose the brakes here for the turn-in. Took it a little bit wide, but that's not going to be our biggest problem. Just the lack of power getting out of those corners has been the real killer. Alright, really powering toward the line for a 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Now that's about, like I said, I think roughly all I've got out of this car, so I'm going to... I'll go back up the line again and switch ourselves into the new Minecart. So first I'm going to stop the timer and end hot lapping so I can I'd like to clear these times, I just don't quite know how. I suppose I can just stop and, or rather, remove and re-add the UI applet. So, where is it? It's under H. Hot lapping. There we go. Change is complete, and we'll pop into the minecart. So, alas, it is not the 1971 minecart with the Baron's V8 in it, which was a hoot to drive. It is going to be our slightly bus-like 1977 edition, and that has the same engine as the Alpaca I just drove, but it has the advantage of being a much smaller car. So, oh, and there's not much in the way of hood there either, which is usually what I use to determine where the car is pointing, so I'm going to just see what kind of camera options I have. Ooh, I can kind of see the engine through the model there. Okay, so if I zoom out some, and if I set up my track IR so that my head points down, I can get a feel for it. It's a slightly strange position, but I will make it work. This is the effort I go to for you, the viewer. So let's get the car backed up to our starting position and see how she does. Alright, so the Minecart has always been our peppy little city car. City is one of the largest demographics in automation, as you might expect. A lot of people want cars of about this size that park easily and get good gas mileage. It feels faster than the Alpaca already. I'm not sure if it actually is going to turn out to be so, but I'm not really pulling my punches, as it were, with this lap. If it's a good one, it's a good one. Alright, we'll come through Brian here with just a very slight lift. Now this car again has, like the original Minecart, has pretty narrow tires, which will make its braking performance a little bit questionable, as well as its cornering g-force, but as someone who drives a front-wheel drive peppy hatchback every day, I am kind of used to it, so. Just a little tap on the brakes there. The much lower weight of the Minecart here is really proving to be a huge advantage in the lapping of this track so far. So about a 104 first sector. Again, a little bit slower than the bare end, but we may be able to make it up through some of the corners on the second half of the track. I'm not sure what the reason is, but the transmission here in the Minecart is much happier to stay in a range where the to stay up in the power band, much more readily up in the power band than it was in the Alpaca for whatever reason. All right, so again, about an 80 mile an hour or 85 mile an hour slingshot, so I don't need to do much in the way of aggressive braking here. I'll just kind of put her down to about 58, get the turn in. I'm already back mostly on the throttle. It's starting to understeer a little bit toward the outside, but I'm able to pull it back. I think ideally we'd shift down here, but such is the life of the small car with the automatic transmission. Ooh. Yeah, that does not brake as well as the Alpaca did, but I managed to make it work a little bit deep into the corner entry there, but at least I didn't take it into the sand. I realize I forgot to quote my second sector time again. I think we're 15 seconds or so faster than the Alpaca, maybe, possibly? It's hard to say. Down to about 44 through here. Maybe. I think we're still going to be a good ways off of 3 minutes. Turn it in. A little bit of undercarriage damage there, perhaps. So this car did the track in automation in 3 minutes and 5 seconds. It looks like I'm going to be at about 3:15. Maybe a little bit less, depending on how much I can take out of this straight. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright, so in automation, the little new Minecart here was about a second slower than the Alpaca, and that is what I have established so far. So again, that was a pretty good lap. I'm actually happy with the way I took most of those corners, so I'm going to set it up for a second go, but I don't think I'm going to beat the time I just put in by very much, if any. Get the nose right up there as far as I can within my rules. Okay, I think I'm slightly over the line, but I'll allow it. Alright. So, well, I hope it switches the lap, or else I'm going to be backing up again and starting again real quick here. Alright. And we are off. With a brand new lap. Slightly more aggressive through there. Again, not using the brakes. Getting a bit more steering input in. keeping the line very tight through here to just cut down the distance of track I need to cover. Then I can probably take Brian flat out in this, although I will need to watch my braking inputs so that I do not lock them up coming into the banhammer here. Just a little bit of locking, 28, and 25 miles an hour, get the power down as soon as I can. That was a good exit. Let's see if I can maybe take the carousel at 50. Nope, it's already below 50. So that's a good 2 seconds faster than the last lap. I don't think I'm going to get down to the 306 the automation test track runner managed. Coming up on 85 here, coming into the slingshot. I'm going to try and mostly just not put in too much steering here and lose speed to tires slipping. I think I'm slightly better here. Now my second sector split coming up at the end of the Varian bend. I'm looking for about 145, which I just hit now actually, so I'm several seconds slower than the Baron still. Alright, 154. Picking up speed here down the this little straight. I don't have nearly enough power to get up to the kind of velocity I'd like. Alright, so much better braking point there, so I can get on the power a little bit earlier. And of course, every second counts in well, every second you can be on the power counts in a car where the engine has a small amount of pep, like this. Now, being the late 1970s and early 1980s, we just, well, we've had leaded fuel banned now in a number of the markets we sell these cars in. So, that's... Hello there! Good to see somebody in the chat. So the markets we sell these cars in just banned leaded fuel, which means that we've lost a bit of power over our 1970s editions. And decent line through there. 305. I'm gonna again pick up, like I said, a couple of seconds down the final straight here, and I get it in 3 minutes and 13 seconds, which again, that's 7 or 8 seconds slower than it went in automation, but given my limits as a driver and the limits of the accuracy of the car exporter, I'll take it. So let me back this up to the line again, and we'll switch into our final car for the day, the Bay12 Motors Noble. So we originally had the Baron, our 1960s luxury sedan. We have upgraded that to the Noble, our 1970s and 80s luxury sedan, which is the same except bigger in just about every way. It's got a 6.2-liter V8 making a whopping 200 horsepower in kind of the classic large American sedan mode of the of that era, the 70s and 80s. So we'll see how it does around the track. Oh dear, it's a little bit wobbly there in the camera. See if I can find a... It's just the driver cam? It is just the driver cam. So we'll take it from the hood cam, I guess. Oh, it's got just about a mile of hood, too, as you can see here. And that pleasant V8 roar. So yeah, it is a large, probably pretty... ooh, it's a little bit of wheel spin off the line. So a large and probably pretty wobbly luxury vehicle. Which again means I can take these curbs with maximum aggression. I feel like the driving position's a little bit lower than it was. So. It is actually a turbocharged 6.2-liter V8, which is a phrase I didn't think I'd be saying today, but there you have it. Again, I don't believe we got anti-lock brakes. Nope, we don't. No anti-lock brakes on this car either, so we'll have to take that a little bit more carefully on our lap that counts. So I believe this is one of our first cars with an advanced automatic transmission. Really this whole generation. So the shifting's a little bit faster, and the power delivery is better. Now, according to our chief car designer over at the Bay12 Games forums, Sensei, this is our current record holder for speed through the slingshot at 126 miles an hour, and I have not quite gotten there. So I got 115 in, kind of picking up speed through it, so that's not bad. Let's, Oop. Onto the dirt a little. Ooh, I managed not to clip the wall there. That's actually quite a surprise. I thought I was going to stack it up pretty badly. So 135. Actually, that's a very good time this far around the track. Alright. Put in some brakes here. No, it's, again, a very large car, and it's quite heavy, so the stopping performance is not quite what I'd like. The updated Melvin there. Honestly, I haven't done much driving of the stock cars, if this is a car. Oh, that's a new game update? If so, I'll have to check that out. Thanks for the link. No? Oh, cool. Well, the game, or rather automation, did this in 241, I believe, and I did this just now in 245. So I think I can probably get it to the probably beat the computer's time on this if I'm lucky on this next attempt. All right. So I think the big places I can pick up time are coming out of the Bavarian bend. I need to brake a little bit earlier there so I can carry more speed through the corner. Coming out of what's it called? Coming out of the Kilrob chicane, which I braked too late for again and ended up deep into it before I was able to turn. And maybe a little bit up through the Cossack corner, so I guess we'll see how it goes. And we are off. Again, with the wheel spin off the line, a little bit more tempered this time. I'm going to aim for about 43, just like a little tap on the brakes. Again, using that luxury suspension to get through that, to get over those curbs in a much less clean fashion than I would in a sportier car. I'm 68 or 70 now on the exit of the S's. Through Brian's Bend at 80. Pretty good. Slight lift. Gotta get down to cornering speed here, about 30. Really crank the wheel over. A little bit slow out of there. Carousel at 45 or so. Call that now actually pretty good first sector. Almost hit the wall there looking at my gauges. It's probably about a 50 or so, which is not quite a like supercar speed, but pretty good for a big luxury sedan. I think I can just, if I'm careful, I can just stay on the throttle 100% through here. Just want to brake about 200. Much better. Still a little bit early on the apex. Oh, and we lost the transmission there. Alright, 135 now at the end of the second sector. Again, a pretty good time. So I got to brake here at about 100, I think, if I want to get this car down to speed. A little bit too early, but workable. It does take Kilrob at about 35 miles an hour, which is pretty good. lock up there. And a little bit too fast into that corner, but I can make the early apex work. Carry about 60 into here, see if I can't. Oh, oh! Pretty good exit there. I'm not going to beat the computer's time yet again. I'm going to come within a couple of seconds, though. 243.234. Oop, forgot about the lack of anti-lock brakes there. So, I do got a bunch of errands to run this evening, but I hope you enjoyed this little crack at the automation test track and a couple of our Bay12 motor cars. Some quick impressions. The Alpaca is a perfect family car. It's the kind of thing I'd feel comfortable giving a teenager to drive as a first vehicle, because you can't really get into very much trouble with it. The new Minecart is just about as fun as the old Minecart. It's not especially fast, but it handles the track like a champ. And lastly, the Noble, just like the Baron before it, has a wonderful soft suspension. The issues with the very first Baron, its poor brakes and tendency to spin around badly on braking application. Those were gone in later Barons and also in the Noble. The Noble's a good time. The sound of that roaring V8 with a little bit of turbo whine on it, it's good times. So yeah, if you enjoyed that, over at Bay12games.com, the forums, there's the Dwarf Fortress forums. That's where the Let's Play is running, down in the Play With Your Buddies forum. So check it out if you liked this.